Oh, hello, hi. Welcome to the library today. We've got a very special reading of a book called Mr. Coconut, written by Chris Callard and illustrated by myself, Catherine Grimaldi. It's a story about loneliness and isolation and is about 12 minutes long. So get yourself comfortable and we'll begin. Mr. Coconut. Once there was a man who lived on the inside of a coconut. In an igloo built from the delicious white flesh. Mr. Coconut was a very small man. So small that in every direction he could only see flat white land. Like when you look over the horizon to the sea, but cannot tell that the earth is round. He was happy enough there, except for one thing. Mr. Coconut had no friends. In fact, he knew no one else at all. He tried to make friends with the bird. But the bird didn't want to make friends. One morning, Mr. Coconut plucked up courage and decided to venture a little way from his igloo. He told himself he would go to the edge of the mountains, just to see if he could meet anyone who might be his friend. He packed some chunks of coconut, put on his snowshoes, and headed out towards the white terrain. He took his compass to make sure that he always walked north and so could find his way home. All day, Mr. Coconut walked past lakes towards the distant mountains. They were further away than he thought, and there were no people to be found anywhere. He checked his food in his suitcase and realised there was hardly any left. He told himself that if he did not meet anyone by the time he reached the next lake, he would turn back. But at the lake he spied a bump on the horizon. A small round hill in the smooth white plain. At first he thought he was seeing things. But as he walked closer, he saw the bump was an igloo, much like his own. Mr. Coconut ran to the igloo and knocked on the door. There was no answer. He sat outside and waited for the owner to return. He waited and waited, but still no one came. Mr. Coconut tried the handle. It was unlocked. To his delight, inside he found a room, much like his own. The owner of the room liked much the same things as Mr. Coconut. They liked to eat the same food. They liked to read the same books. They even liked to listen to the same music. Without him noticing, night had fallen. Mr. Coconut didn't want to go home in the dark. He was so tired that he went onto his bed and fell fast asleep. The next morning, before he left for home, Mr. Coconut wrote a letter to his new friend. He included instructions on how to walk to his own igloo and an invitation to dinner at any time. He wasn't sure he had enough food for the journey. He looked in the cupboard and helped himself to the last few coconut chunks. He hoped his new friend wouldn't mind. Mr. Coconut set off home, using his compass to walk directly south. A snowstorm blew up and his suitcase filled with snowflakes. He made it home just before nightfall. All of his food was gone and he was very hungry. But someone had been in his igloo. His books and his music were left all over the floor, and the food cupboard was empty. Mr. Coconut was very upset. He wished he'd locked the door. Then he noticed a letter on the table. It must be from his friend in the other igloo. They had been visiting Mr. Coconut at the very same time. But before Mr. Coconut could read the letter, it was whisked away by the giant bird. As soon as he had dug himself some more coconut chunks for lunch, he headed out towards the mountains again. He wanted to get to his friend's igloo before they read his letter and came back to visit him. In his hurry to leave, Mr. Coconut forgot his compass. By the time he realised, he was already past the mountains. But he was sure he could remember the way. Soon, he found himself in a forest he did not recognise. Mr. Coconut heard sounds that he had never heard before. In the never-ending whiteness, Mr. Coconut had gone the wrong way. As he came down another mountain, a dark shadow fell between the white sky and the white land. Now Mr. Coconut knew he was lost. Without his compass, not only had he missed his new friend, he would never find his way home. Mr. Coconut was very tired. He didn't want to go back to the mountain and continued towards the shadowy horizon. As he walked closer and closer, it became jagged and loomed heavily above him. But up close, he saw that the shadow was in fact made of blocks. Coconut tower blocks. Coconut tower blocks connected by coconut roads, along which drove buses filled with people just like him. Mr. Coconut is in the city. I wonder if he made any new friends. What do you think? I think so. The end. Thank you for coming to listen to the story in the library today. If you would like a copy of the book, please go to mrcoconut.co.uk. The book is £7 plus £2 postage. It's also available at my website, catherinegrimaldi.com. Bye-bye.